Good morning. I am Dr. Mazza. I am here for our version of student skills for surviving and thriving during COVID-19 and beyond. We are in definitely some unprecedented times, and using these skills seems to be ever more important these days. And so what I want to do is let you know that we're going to be talking about skills from this book here. It's called DBT Skills in Schools. This is a curriculum that Lizz developed. Lizz, come and say hi first.
Liz and you.
Liz and I'll get there.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Lizz Dexter-Mazza.
And so we've helped develop this with a couple of colleagues for middle schoolers and high schoolers to learn about emotional regulation skills and decision-making strategies. And so we're hoping to do that. And so what I'd like to do is then introduce my class, please. And so we'll start with you, Jackson.
Thank you, Dad. My name is Jackson. I am 13 and I'm in 7th grade.
Great.
My name is Grace. I'm 8 and I'm in 2nd grade.
My name is Ashton. I'm 12 and I'm in 6th grade.
Great. And they are going to be our class for today. Here's what I'd like you to do before we get started. I'd like you to grab something to either drink or something to eat. And if you're grabbing something to eat that maybe has a wrapper to it, it could have some type of peel to it too, so it could be like a piece of candy or a piece of fruit. I've already grabbed my cup of tea, but if you have a cup of coffee, that would be great. And we'll give you another 20, 30 seconds to go ahead and grab something. That would be helpful.
And while you all are grabbing them, I just want to say we're so excited that you are all here. And even more so, thank you that the Downtown School freshman class is joining us this week.
Great. Awesome. All right.
Announcements.
So that was announcements. Thank you. That was good. Yeah. Announcements.
Tuesday's our last class.
Well, so actually, it's Thursday of next week is our last class.
Oh.
What we want to do, though, is make sure that we let you know that Liz and I are going to be doing a live Q&A on June 16th at this exact time slot on Tuesday, June 16th. Please find us on YouTube, right? And so YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
Right?
No.
Is it?
DBT in Schools.
DBT in Schools.
.com.
We've got 2 sponsors though we'd like to give a shout out to the Forefront, which is a UW Cross University program, and then the Mental Health Technology Transfer Center. So they're helping us put on this Q&A for parents and who may be struggling during these difficult times. All right. With that said, hopefully that's enough time to give you something to get something to eat or drink. What we'd like to do is do a observe and describe exercise. And here's what I'm going to tell you that we're going to do. Often we use our eyes to observe things, right? Yet we have a lot of other senses. And so one of the things that we're trying to do during mindfulness is to be aware of what our other senses are telling us. And then what is the reason why we do mindfulness?
To be in the moment.
Be in the moment is great. Yeah, be in the moment. That's good. One of our house skills. To notice.
Actions.
And what else do we want to do?
Regulate.
It's helpful to regulate. How about we want to put our minds where we want them to be.
Where we want them to be instead of where we don't want them to be.
Yes, that's right. We don't want our minds putting us in a place we don't want to be. So that's why we're working on these mindfulness skills. All right. With that said, and we haven't started yet. So with that said, I want you to notice when you have your drink or your piece of candy or your fruit. We haven't started yet, so don't eat it, don't drink it yet, right? I want you to smell, and so instead of just eating it real quickly, because we often eat mindlessly, right? We down it really quickly and then get on to the next thing. We're going to slow that down, and we're going to eat mindfully, or we're going to drink mindfully.
We've done this one before.
We did this one way back, I think,
with
even
the mini wheats and the oranges.
It's correct, like at the end of March,
yeah.
Right? So it's been a while. So we're coming back to it, all right? And so the idea here is to get our senses to keep giving us information. So first we're going to observe. Remember, what is observing again? Do you remember?
Wordless watching.
Wordless watching, and it's a what skill? Look at you two guys. That's rocking. All right, Jackson, gonna have to get in here. Push your buzzer pretty quickly here, right? All right. And after we're done observing, then we're gonna describe. What is describe?
We're phone watching.
It is also a
what skill?
It is a what skill, and then we're gonna put words to the observations that we had. That's right.
Wordful watching.
So Jackson, we'll get you on the board one of these times, okay? All right. So here's what I want us to do. Go ahead and put whatever thing that you're going to consume, whether it's a drink or whether it's a piece of candy or whatever else.
No, this is mine.
Please go ahead and do that. So what do we have?
I have that one.
Clearly,
I'm having
these kids
this.
want chocolate.
So let's have. There's who's got the 2 doves? All right.
Me.
So Grace, you get to have that one. Matter of fact, Well, yeah, you get to have that one. Don't open it
Have
yet.
a dark chocolate.
Don't drink it yet.
Too slow.
And so when we begin the exercise, I want you to listen if you're opening something. See what that does. That's right, Jackson. Great. Once you're done opening it, I want you to smell. In this case, we've got some leftover Easter candy. That's only 2 months ago, right? And so we've got some leftover Easter chocolate, and the boys actually have Dove chocolate at this point. I've got tea. I think Liz has coffee. All right? And so
Oh, and
smell
I'll take
the
the
coffee.
extra.
Don't take a sip of it yet. Just
No
savor
extra.
it. See what it smells like, right? And then,
Don't open it yet.
if you decide that you want to eat the object that you have, right, that food, or you want to take a drink, then go ahead and do that, but don't swallow.
Daddy.
So wait a minute. I'm still explaining. So only if you're changing. No, I'll take that. Thank you. One object, one piece of food. All right. And so what we want to do then is to leave it in our mouths. Let our tongue and the sensations and our saliva get into our object that we're eating, or the food that we're eating, or let your taste buds taste the coffee or the tea that you have.
Or the
All
chocolate.
right?
Or whatever.
Once you start drooling chocolate, in our case, or maybe it's going to be orange juice in your case, or something else, then go ahead and swallow, right? Just try not to swallow right away. And then notice that, okay? If you find yourself distracted from different noises that are at your home or in school or wherever else, just notice it and come back to the exercise. All right. Any questions from you guys now?
No.
Great.
Do we
All
use
right.
the what's
Mindfulness
called
positions. That means feet flat on the floor. Grace, come on up out there. Correct. I am going to sit. Where am I going to sit?
You're gonna sit.
Grace already
I'm gonna
opened
kneel- I'm
hers.
gonna kneel right here.
Okay, but let's tell everybody what the mindfulness position
Grace
is.
already
So,
opened hers.
So it's okay, Ashley. I'll take care of this.
How
All
dare
right.
she?
And so the mindfulness positions with your feet flat on the floor, back kind of straight up. You want to have a gaze to what you have. You should have your object or your food in your hand at this point. All right. The second step of a mindfulness position is to take a nice deep breath. All right. And the third is going to be when we're going to do it. We're not doing it yet. So my class is in their mindfulness position. Grace, let's swap.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Grace, remember, mindfulness is sitting all the way forward with your
feet flat on the floor. Keep going. Nice. She's got it.
Put
Ashley.
your
Thank
board
you.
down. Your
All right.
board down.
And so I'm now switching to chocolate at this point. So step 1, mindfulness position, great. Step 2, let's take a deep breath in. Step 3, let's mindfully observe eating or drinking what we brought.
Can we take the wrapper off now?
Shh, we do it for, let's see. Let's
Begin.
begin. And stop. I can tell you my 2 boys couldn't resist chewing though. Who still has their object?
I had to bite it
Your
in
pro-
half.
You didn't have to. So notice
But
that,
I
right?
did.
And so who still has their chocolate, their fruit, their whatever else in their mouth?
Consumable.
I did.
You did until the very end?
No, I only bit it in half so I could see what the middle felt like.
Notice the urge to not do it. That's the
No,
whole idea.
But
All
that's
right.
what it is. See what
So,
the middle felt
With
like.
all of our mindfulness exercises, we're going to debrief. All right? And so, those of you at home, please put in the chat bar what your experience was like, what you observed during that. All right? So, Jackson, what did you observe? Now you're going to describe which is one of our what skills you're going to put into words what you observed. What'd you notice?
That the chocolate smelled good.
The chocolate smelled good. All right. Grace, what'd you notice?
Like chocolate.
The chocolate melted all over my tongue.
Yeah, it melted on your tongue, right? Especially if you didn't chew it right away. Ashton, what'd you notice?
It's like got stuck in my teeth.
Got stuck in your teeth a bit?
You kept looking at me like,
Because you were chewing. I was trying to get you to leave the chocolate on your tongue. And that's our natural thing to do, right? Is to
Chewed
chew
at
right
the
away.
very end.
And I'm saying, let's not do that. Notice the urge to chew and not do it. Let it sit there. And guess what happens when you mindfully eat something?
You eat less and it tastes more.
It-
And it tastes better.
It tastes better and you actually eat less. That's absolutely true,
it
right?
tastes weirder.
Well, it's just
3
different.
for
It's not
3.
weirder.
Because
It's
you
not, you're
don't
not going to be a
usually
judgment.
take- 'cause you
All right,
don't
what did we
usually
see in the
eat
chat bar? What did people say? Or put it in the chat bar. Anything? Go ahead and put it in there. Anything else that you observed? So Jackson and Ashton, neither one observed that they actually have in their wrapping paper
Oh, I knew that.
a statement. Can I do that?
No.
Not very well.
Oh, well,
There's a saying in there.
mine says, be the sculptor of your dreams.
Look, this one is actually a DBT one. Jackson had inhale the future, exhale the past. So that's pretty good. And so, again, now Liz and I are very aware of Dove chocolates because we use them all the time. And so just helping our kids be aware of the different things that they can observe would be important. Yes?
So for some folks at home, it was hard to do with water.
Yeah, water would be tough.
And
It doesn't have as much
right,
taste.
because we also spend time, practicing slowing down and noticing the temperature of it, the
Ooh, I didn't notice
coolness
that.
or warmness of it in our mouth,
Yep.
the sensation of it going down our throats. Those
Great.
are things for us to practice on. Somebody else noticed that it was really difficult not to swallow,
It is.
to
We're
stay
correct.
in the moment
Great observation.
in your mouth. And another one person loved the sound of the wrapper of my ice cream. Never noticed that before.
I
Ice
wish
cream.
I got to
Oh,
have ice
awesome.
cream.
Hopefully they're not-
Ice
It
cream?
could- now wait a minute. It could
I
be. It
want
could be that they're out on the East Coast. It could be in the afternoon for them already. All right. We don't usually have ice cream at our breakfast, do we?
No.
All right. With that, thank you for doing that with us. I'm going to turn it over to Liz, and she's going to teach us one of the distress tolerance skills.
It's called the teep.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here with us again. And like I said, thank you for the Downtown School Freshman class for joining us. This is so fun. We want to hear
Yeah.
how this is helpful to all of you. And here's one thing that I really want to talk about today that I'm thinking about is we are kind of jumping back a little bit to our distress tolerance skills. We've taught now many of the mindfulness skills, the distress tolerance skills from DBT STEPS-A, emotion regulation skills, and interpersonal effectiveness skill. And then we were so fortunate when we decided that we were going to extend the class for the length of it when we realized that schools weren't going back in session at all. Originally, when we
For the
started
rest of the year.
doing this, we thought it would be 8 weeks through the end of April, and then we got announced that we weren't going back to school at all. So that is why now we're able to fill in a few extra classes with some of the other critical skills that are important to us. So we're going to jump back and just kind of show you first with our slide on talking about that in DBT and DBT STEPS-A skills, we really think about our skills across a balance of both change and acceptance skills, and where our mindfulness skills and our distress tolerance skills fall on the side of acceptance and validation, and our emotion regulation skills fall on the side of our emotion regulation skills and interpersonal effectiveness skills fall on the side of change and problem solving. And we're constantly finding that balance with our skills and in our lives. It's kind of the idea that we say we are doing the best we can and we have to do more. We accept where we are, and that is not enough. We also have to push ourselves for change. So today, we're kind of going back to the distress tolerance skills, and we're going to be focusing on the TIP skills the skills that we use for when we have really high intense emotion, and we want to bring that emotion down quickly so that we can be more effective in deciding what other skills we want to use. And what you're looking at right now is what we call the model of emotions. And we did an entire lesson on this. Please go back and watch that so you can see what all these different components are. But in a brief nutshell, what I want to say, these are all the different components of an emotion. These are all the different pieces, from things that make us more sensitive or vulnerable to our emotions, to the prompting events that set off our emotions and the thoughts we have about those events. And then there's what happens inside of us, like our physical sensations, our physiological changes, which we're going to talk a lot about today, and our body experiences. And then there's what happens outside of our body that other people can see, which is what we say, what we do, our actions and behaviors. And then there's consequences of having that emotion. But that whole model together, that is our emotional experience. It's a full body response. So today, we're going to jump back into distress tolerance and talk about our tip skills for emotions, for how we manage and get our emotions down quickly when they get really high. So I'm glad you're here, and we're going to jump into that. Yes, Grace.
And why don't we do the tip skills all the time if we have high emotion?
Why don't we do them all the time? That's a great question. So let's just start and talk about when we use the tip skills. Grace asked, why don't we use them all the time, right? And the reason why we don't use them all the time is because we don't need them all the time. There are times that we have high emotion and we can still be in wise mind. We can still be effective in regulating our emotions. And there are times when our emotions are so high, we can't think straight. We are what we call emotion mind. And we're having a hard time figuring out how to be effective. Or we feel so overwhelmed with the emotion. Have you ever had such high emotion where like you're crying really hard, or you're so angry you just want to act out, and you can feel like your heart's racing and your stomach's tightening and like you've got pressure in your body? Yeah, have you had that? That's the time, and you might be crying a lot. That might be the time that we want to use these tip skills. Does that make sense?
Chipping my tooth.
The day you chipped your tooth, that's right. You were so angry. Your emotions were so high,
Yes.
right? And you were big in emotion mind. That was the day that we talked about how do we use some of these skills. And so one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to have you think about something that brings up some intense emotion for you. Not so high that it you're not able to regulate it, or you don't want it to be the most intense thing you've ever experienced. So for practice purposes, we want you to practice when we're at a moderate to high level of intensity, not the highest you've ever been. So we'll definitely kind of go through that. So I'm going to give you a little biology lesson before we start and jump into this. And so with this little bit of biology lesson, I want to make sure it's very clear to everybody. As you guys know, I am not a biology teacher. So this is going to be you may recognize this if some of you have learned this already in school, but I want to talk about the nervous system in your body, the physiological system in your body that helps us react and manage our emotions, right? Have you guys ever heard of the fight, flight, or freeze response?
Nope.
You probably never heard of it because they don't teach that in
if
second
someone
grade.
gets mad at you, or someone says something, you either fight them,
Flight.
run away.
Flight, run away.
We'll be like,
Or freeze, and you're just kind of like deer in headlights, not sure what to do.
what do I
Right.
do?
And that system is regulated in our body as part of our autonomic nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system, right? And so don't worry about these big words, right? It's just what happens when that system in our body is designed to help us react quickly. Like if you're riding your bike, if you're riding your bike in the street, and all of a sudden a car comes flying through, right? That system is going to activate to get you to move, or might freeze, and jump back, or to get your friend or yourself out of the street, right? And your heart rate's going to go up, your blood pressure is going to go up.
I'd probably fight
Okay.
The car.
Right, everybody has that different, but that's what that's for. Okay, that system moves our body into action.
So that system's like your reflex system.
Kind of, yeah. It's like an automatic system, right? Well, it is part of our automatic system. And then there's another side of it. So there's the sympathetic. The opposite side is what we call the parasympathetic nervous system, the PNS. And all I want you to know is that this is the part of our natural emotion regulation system. Our natural emotion regulation system that slows our body down. It puts us into a resting state, okay? It's our slow down system. And this is the part of our system that brings our heart rate down, brings our blood pressure down, slows down our breathing.
It's your calm down.
It's your calm down. And what we're going to talk about today, I gave you that little scientific background or biology background there, because what we're going to do is we have figured out a way to hack our system to activate that parasympathetic nervous system when our emotions are really high.
What do you mean hack it?
We're going to hack
our
our reflexes, that automatic system in our body. I'm going to teach you ways to get that to show up so that your heart rate goes down, your blood pressure goes down, your breathing slows down. Because you ever notice when your emotions are really, really high and feeling extreme that you sometimes can't breathe? You're breathing so fast and rapidly, and you just have all that pressure in your body.
Like when you're crying a bunch.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone in our class can think of any times really recently where our emotions might be high, not only for us, but other people around us in our entire city of Seattle. Anything that comes to mind?
The
School.
riots.
The riot,
The protests.
right?
Yeah,
And
protests.
could be
George
school, right?
Floyd.
So think about those times when all of our emotions are getting higher, all right? And what we want to do, what Mom's going to talk about, is making sure that we're not in a spot where we're making ineffective decisions, making it worse, correct? And that's
Where
that
we're
gets
putting
a
our
great-
mind not where we want it to be.
Our mind is putting us where we don't want to be. That's right, Grace. And
Not
so we're
where
trying
we
to stay
want it
out
to
of
be.
emotion mind that way. So the tip skill is going to help us distract ourselves or to bring down our
Hack
emotions so
our
we're not in
system.
emotion mind.
Exactly. So, right? So that's what we're looking for with, and especially now in the climate we're in Seattle and around the rest of this country, we've already got what I call an elevated baseline. Our emotions are already really higher than usual because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, and we're all at home. We have definitely had times when we have gotten kind of a bit tired and of all of us being all together at home all the time, right? And that has made our emotions go higher. And now we've added the death of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and this
Tony McDade.
and this entire climate with the protests and what has escalated to some riots and the political response in our country has kind of activated that and made our emotions even more intense. And so these are the times where we really want to be thinking about when our emotions get so high that we may not be acting in wise mind as effectively as we can be. How do we quickly get the intensity of that emotion down so that we can get back to wise mind and be more effective? So with that, you guys I'm going to show you all online the 3 skills, things we're going to do, the tip skills, the 3 things we're going to do to get our emotion down quickly when our emotions are up. So,
There's a doggy.
Jackson, read me the first box. So here's, just to kind of remind you guys of when we're going to do this, when we're completely caught in emotion mind, when our brain is not processing information clearly because our emotions are so high, and we're feeling emotionally overwhelmed. We're going to start with the tip skill, with the T. Jackson, read us what the T is for.
Tip the temperature of your face with cold water to calm down fast.
Can I do it?
So what does that mean? That means we're going to practice holding our breath. And this is where we asked you earlier to get yourself either an ice pack or a bowl of cold water. We don't want it too cold where it's too ice cold.
Then you're gonna get a headache.
That it's going to give you a headache. Grace, nice job. Right? But we want it to be a bowl of cold water. And we're going to do, in a moment, we're going to do something that brings our emotion up. And then we're going to put our face in cold water. Or we're going to put an ice pack on our face. And what we're going to do is activate what's called the dive reflex. And by activating the dive reflex, it's going to kick in our parasympathetic nervous system to slow our body down. Do you guys ever notice, because we live in Seattle, we have Puget Sound near us, which is a very cold body of water. Do you ever notice what happens when you go in a cold lake or in a cold pool, cold shower, or into Puget Sound?
I can't feel my legs.
You can't feel your legs?
I get out.
You get out, right? Do you ever notice your body kind of slows down and kind of shuts down a little?
Get the
Tingles?
frozy toesies.
Right.
You start to what I do is I don't like it so much that I go into overtime and trying to get out.
Mm-hmm. So at first it activates your sympathetic nervous system and says, run, get out of here, right? But if you fall in, here's the thing about drowning. What do you think somebody looks like when they're drowning? When you picture someone in your mind, like in the pool or in a lake or some kind of body of water, and you think they're drowning, what does that look like for you? What does somebody who's drowning look like for you?
Somebody's
They're
going like this,
Well, they're like
and they're like blinking
underwater,
slowly.
and they're just like falling. They keep they're looking up. Their eyes are still.
Do you think they're like, ah, and their body's kind of like flailing all over?
Well,
No.
they're kind of suffocating.
Okay, what would happen, Jackson, if somebody is flailing, they're drowning, and they're flailing and splashing and screaming? What do you think would quickly happen to their body?
They'd lose energy?
They'd lose energy and they'd kind of drown faster. That's exactly right. That's why when we fall into a cold body of water, our parasympathetic nervous system kicks in and it slows your body down. So that actually when we see somebody drowning, what happens is you see them quietly bobbing up and down in the water. They come up, they take a breath, and they go back down. They're actually, their body's not expending as much energy as much as it's
How do you know
preserving.
Wait, how are they taking a breath if they're drowning?
Well, because your body bobs up and down when you're trying to come back up before you've completely gone under. So that's the parasympathetic nervous system. So what we're going to do now, I want you all in my classroom here, in my classroom at home, to think about a situation that brings in some intense emotion like anger, disgust, shame, or sadness. And I want you to think about that. And while you're thinking about that, I want you to take a moment and go get an ice pack or a bowl of cold water. And we're going to do that here as well. So we're going to pause our screen for a moment, and we're going to do that while you go and get an ice pack or a bowl of cold water and think about something that brings up a higher level of emotion for you. Okay? And we're going to move things around here for just All right, so these guys are getting ready over here because I'm protecting our living room a little bit. They've just moved a little bit out into the out of living room area, and Jackson's here. Grace and Ashton both decided they wanted to use a bowl of cold water, and then Jackson and I are going to use ice packs.
What about Daddy?
That's okay.
So I want everybody to think about it, and if you could just check the chat bar if anybody has any questions. I want you to think about, do you have that thing in mind that's going to bring up your emotion? Do you have the situation that's going to bring it up, right? And so for you guys, what examples did you have? What's something that's going to bring up intense emotion for you, Jackson? Or you need to think. You got it?
I don't know if this may or may not, but when Ashton steals my Kindle.
Okay, and he steals your Kindle, all right? And I want you to think about all the intensity of that emotion, because I remember you got pretty angry last night.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, you were pretty angry. Same thing when you took your phone the other day. Again, that anger got up for you.
I'm a bad boy.
It's
Okay,
not
Ashton,
funny.
what do you have?
If you get held back in math, that'd be really mad.
Right, you'd be really mad and embarrassed if you got held back in math, if we gave you that. And yes, Grace.
My tooth.
The time you chipped your tooth, right,
Oh,
when you
gosh.
fell off of a hammock, right? And so do you guys have some examples that you're open to sharing? Right, so one of our students has learned these skills before. I was wondering what happens.
To the second P in tip.
and we'll let you know about the second P and tip
I
in a
thought
little
there was
bit.
only one P.
Okay,
It's
hold on.
okay.
All right, so here's what I want you to do. There's a key points when we're doing the tip skills, when we're trying to get our emotion down. And these key points that we want to think about are, you want it cold and wet on your face. And when I say on your face, we want it across your eyes, especially hitting these bones right here under your eyes, right? And you want to bend over and hold your breath, okay? Because if when we're using a bowl of water, we're automatically bent over and holding our breath. Now that's going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system and bring our emotion down the most effectively. But when we're in school or we're out somewhere, we don't always have access and we want to mess up our hair or our makeup and put a bowl of cold water on our face. So that's where we might use an ice pack. It won't be as intense of a response, but it'll still help us to get our emotions down for just about 5 minutes or so that we can think about what to do next effectively. Okay, so if you guys are ready, right? And I think somebody just said right now, like the political unjust that's happening in our country right now, whichever side you fall on, for many people is bringing up a lot of intense emotion. Thinking about what happened, watching the news, right? Emotion goes up, and I just noticed for me at times, like, I just want to scream, I just want to react, right? And so this may be one of the sides when I want to use my tip skill. Okay, you ready? Jackson, I'm going to give you
Are you gonna move the camera?
your ice pack. It is already moved. They can see you. Okay, Jackson, I need you to sit up. All right, so if you need to do anything, can you bring your emotion up? I'm going to give you all a moment right now to sit with the thoughts. Imagine fully you are in that moment where you're getting told that you are getting left back in math, held back in math and being retained. You remember that moment when you fell and we told you your tooth was chipped and it was one of your permanent teeth. And Jackson, notice when you can't find your phone and the frustration when he keeps telling you he doesn't know where it is. And let that emotional experience come up for you. Let yourself be angry, sad. Close your eyes and imagine it. You at home also, close your eyes. Imagine you're in that situation. Can you feel it? Do you feel the emotion? Notice it in your body. All right, now what I want you to do is you two are going to put your face in the ice water, holding your breath for as long as you can, or up to 10 seconds. And you're going to then pull your head out, take a breath, and do it 2 to 3 more times. And Jackson, you're going to just hold that ice pack on your face. Okay? Ready? Begin.
Which way?
You got to bend over and hold your breath.
And you're gonna
While
hold
you
your
do
breath, Ashton
Jackson.
and Grace. Yep.
Right?
Put your face in the water. Go ahead, Ashton.
Go, ready?
Just notice that discomfort. It's
1,
okay. You can do it.
2, 3, go.
Come on, put your face in there. Grace, go ahead and hold your breath. All right, go again, Grace. Hold your breath. Come on. Okay, go again, Grace.
I already did it
Go
3
ahead, one more
times.
time, Ashton.
I'm getting a headache.
Come on, go ahead.
Keep
One
going.
more
One
time.
more time. Okay.
Ow.
All right.
Ow.
Okay. You guys can stop. You guys can stop. Go back. Dry your faces and go back over to your seats. Okay. I'm gonna move these before you accidentally knock them over. All right. I want to hear how everybody did at home with it.
That was painful.
Yeah.
All right. And I want to highlight, right, that this is hard to do when we're kind of causing the emotion to occur, not completely experiencing it in the moment. That your emotion intensity might not go up as much. Come sit down. And I want you to tell us now. You guys, I'm gonna turn the
My
camera
face
back
is
for
all
us.
red.
Yeah. Okay. Sit back down.
That's weird.
All right. I want you to notice now. Just take a moment and observe your body. What happened to your emotion? What happened to your physical sensations in your body
It went up.
when you did that? They went up for you?
Up.
They spiked and they went back down.
They spiked and they went back up. The initial
No, they
hold-
spiked and then they stayed spiked.
Okay.
Oh, mine, like, the first time it was like, oh, it's not that cold. And the second time it just went,
Yeah, that's what it was for me.
Okay. And what happened to the emotion that you were feeling about the event you thought about?
I forgot about it.
I
Okay,
forgot
so it
all
distracted-
about
So it
it.
distracted you?
Distraction.
It distracted you, so that's something that can happen.
Because
that
it
can
was
distract
so
you.
painful, though.
For me, I noticed that my heart rate had been going up when I was thinking about things that are happening in our community and our society that are making me very angry, and I get more tense. And when I put the ice pack on my face, I just noticed some of that tension went down. My breathing slowed down a little bit. It gave me a moment to be that mindful for it. And that is one of the things that I'm really proud of you guys doing right now, is that you practiced that skill during a time when your emotion's not too high, right? And then we're going to be able to do that at other times when our emotion goes up. How is it for people at home?
So we've had someone comment that it took my mind away from my thoughts, which is great, right? Because sometimes
Yeah,
our
because
thoughts
it, like,
are
distracts.
fueling,
Yeah,
right?
that's
It
like what
distracts you because it's so
Right,
painful.
and I think what Liz is commenting too about this is she's not saying not to be angry or not to be sad about what's happening right now. What she's saying is we need to stay effective though, right? And sometimes when our emotions get so high, we don't make effective decisions, right? And so that's what I think that Mom's commenting about is when to use this. And I think it's great to practice this when we're not in emotion mind, so we get more skilled at it. So when we do become in emotion mind, we know what we're doing already.
I just
Exactly.
noticed something.
What'd you notice?
It smells like grape.
What
'Cause
smell?
Yeah.
It smells like grape because of my hair dye.
Oh, gotcha. Your hair dye smelled like, so again, distracted you. All right, so that's the T for tip skill. So bring your emotion down quickly by activating the dive reflex in your parasympathetic nervous system. That's what I want you to think about using, right? And teachers in school and parents at home, you can coach your kids to use this skill when their emotions are really high and they need some help getting it down quickly, right? Again, it's only going to last 5 minutes or so, but that's enough time for us to figure out what to do effectively next. All right, let's walk through the other two rather quickly. So the I is for doing intense exercise as a way of, again, getting your emotion down quickly. Ashton, read the I for me.
Run.
Intense exercise. To calm down your body when it is revved up by emotion. Engage in intense acrobatic exercises, if you can, if only for a short while. Expend your body's stored up physical energy by running. Walk fast, jump rope or jumping jacks. Playing basketball, weightlifting, or putting on music and dancing. But
Right.
don't overdo it and tire
Right.
yourself out.
So here's the thing. We're not going to practice intense exercise today because we want you to do it for about as long as you can or for about up to 20 minutes. But the idea of doing this intense exercise, it's not just to go out and get yourself distracted and be physically active. It's so that, is my microphone?
Yeah, turn it up.
Oh, I think it just fell out. So can you guys hear, now hopefully you can hear me better now.
Turn it up.
And we'll turn it up. Okay, hopefully that's better. There we go. So the idea is that when you are physically active and you do really intense exercise for 15 or 20 minutes or as long as you can, it's that moment. You ever notice when you stop doing something really intense, that exercise, and all of a sudden you have that like swoosh, your body
Relief.
just gets exhausted. That wave goes out and it's just really
The
tired.
wave of relief.
That wave of relief.
Like
That's what we're looking for by doing this intense level of exercise in order to bring your emotion up or bring your emotion down by doing that. So
It's like a wave of accomplishment.
right, that accomplishment. You know, sometimes when you guys are just feeling really irritable and I say, I need you to go run around the block a couple times. Or
Dick
let's
it
go
out.
dance it out. Or let's just do some jumping jacks or burpees or something.
No.
Just to get
No,
our
I don't
body
like
so that we can
burpees.
bring down the intensity of that emotion as best we can. So I want you to practice that for homework this week. To go notice if your emotion goes up, to do some intense exercise to order to bring that down quickly. And then here's the last one I want us to teach, which I think is really, really important that we practice. It's the P skill from TIP, because it's about a way that we can breathe also in order to activate our parasympathetic nervous system and to bring the intensity of our emotion down quickly. And because it's a breathing exercise, our breath is always with us.
Mom, can you talk slower?
Am I talking fast? Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that feedback, guys. So, Grace, read us the P for paced breathing.
Slow your pace of breathing way down. to about 5 to 7 and
In
in and out breaths per minute. Breathe deeply from
The abdomen.
abdomen.
Yep. So here, I can read the rest of it. I'll explain the rest of this.
The abdomen.
Grace, I'm going to have you stop for a minute. I'm going to explain the rest of this. Because this is the skill. We've done this before as a mindfulness exercise.
wait, elevator?
Elevator breathing, that's right. When you breathe for a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and you make your exhale longer than your inhale, that also can bring down the intensity of your emotion, because by changing that breath pattern, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system for yourself. So I want you to try practicing that also. We've done elevator breathing in here, right? For us, where we will breathe in, and while we're breathing in, we count up the floors of the building, up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we take the elevator back down, 4, 3, 2, 1. But we've got to get our car out of the parking garage, so we have to go P1, P2, and then we get back to first floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, P1, P2. And that's how we're going to breathe. So I want you guys to just practice that right now for a moment. And we'll all practice that together.
It's like 3
And here's the
skills
key.
in
It doesn't have to be in for 4 and out for 6. It could be in for 5, out for 7. We just want your exhale to be longer than your inhale. You know, if you're a swimmer, you might be able to go in for 8 and out for 10 or 12, right? But what we don't want is in for 1, out for 2, or in for 1, out for 3. So try to go a minimum of in for 4. And find the breath pattern that works for you.
Mom?
Yes, Grace.
What if you can't make your breath go out anymore? Like you're out of breath, so,
then,
you can't
the
have
next
your breath
time you
go out
do it,
anymore.
I want you to slow down your exhale even more.
Push.
Okay.
No, but that just makes it worse.
No.
Okay, so let's practice. All right.
So if you go
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, except you don't have anything else to put out.
That's why we're saying you're going to slow
Grace, don't
down your
push-
exhale.
yeah, don't push
as
out
that.
as much.
All right, so let's try that. You guys sit straight up for a minute, and you at home try that with also. And I want you to count in. If it's helpful for you to count the elevators with your hands as you go up and down, putting all of your attention on your breath, we're going to do that for a moment. Are you all ready?
See.
Okay, so sit straight up. Get yourself into that mindfulness, wide awake position. Quickly imagine the thing that was making your emotions go up and more intense. All right, can you think of it? The thing that makes you really angry when your brother takes your stuff and hides it from you or uses it, right? Or if I told you, like, hey, I just got word that you're being retained in math and you'll be not moving forward with the rest of your friends, right? Or when you broke your tooth, or somebody tells you that you're doing something, that you're distracted and you're not really, and you're trying to focus and having a hard time, okay? And whatever it is for you at home that brings up your emotion, okay? Ready? So let's start with sitting straight up and begin breathing. And stop.
I kept going.
What did you notice?
1, 2, 3, 4. And then 4, 1, 2, 3. And then I'd go P1, P2, P3, P4. Like going
Okay, so
up.
the numbers were confusing you. It's okay. We don't have to have the numbers being exactly right.
puzzled.
And we can get our exhale to be longer than our inhale. Right, and so that's the third tip skill, right? And Grace, that's one we've often encouraged you to do, right? To do elevator breathing when your emotions get really high, right? Jackson, same for you, to kind of practice that elevator breathing. That breath part is always with us,
Mommy.
right? I want to say again, just to kind of remind you all, that these skills aren't the do the tip skill and then everything is fine. It's do the tip skill so that our emotion intensity can come down for a few minutes to give us enough time to figure out what do I need to do now to be more effective and not make the situation worse. I've had to use these skills a lot in the last week, and thinking about everything that's happening between COVID and the social injustices that are occurring. Yes, Jim.
We had somebody comment about the second P. Can you cover that at this point?
So, in comprehensive clinical DBT skills groups, the TIP skill is actually TIPP. And the second P stands for progressive muscle relaxation, which is a breathing, a breathing technique to relax your whole body. To learn that skill, it often takes a lot of daily practice for 20 to 30 minutes every day. So for time reasons, we didn't add that into the social emotional learning curriculum for DBT STEPS-A, and we thought we'd leave that for people can either get that if they're in clinical DBT, or if they want to add that in, teachers can do that. There's lots of other resources for that. But absolutely, progressive muscle relaxation is helpful, and it takes a long time to learn and practice as well.
Yeah, and I'll just add that one of the things there too is that because it takes that 20 to 30 minutes of guidedness, right? It doesn't happen for you right away. And some of our adolescents needed that right away type of strategy, so they weren't going to make things worse, right? And so the tip that we use, temperature, intense exercise, and then paced breathing, provide that almost instantaneously type of result.
Right. So can you go to our next slide? I'm going to use that as our take-home points for everybody who's watching here. And here's what I want you to look at for our take-home points for today, right? Is that with using temperature to get your extreme motions down quickly, you're going to remember cold, wet, face, bent over, and holding your breath. Oh, go back. Yeah, right there we go. And for intense exercise, you're going to do it for up to 20 minutes, as long as you can, intensely, and then do the abrupt stop so that you feel that swoosh go out of your body. And then for paced breathing, I want you to remember to make your exhale longer than your inhale in order to slow down your breath, slow down the parasympathetic nervous system in your body, to bring down the physiological sensations and the emotional intensity for about 5 minutes or so then you can figure out what to do next. Okay, if there are any questions for anybody left in the chat bar or from you guys, I want to get those now before we end for today's class.
And announcements.
We'll get to announcements in a moment. So what questions do you all have at home about today's lesson? I'm so glad you are all here with us, and hopefully these skills will be helpful to you right now that you can practice in the next week.
Grace has a question.
Yes, Grace, what's your question?
Well, no, it's not a question, but when I breathed slower out, I realized that I could actually go from 8 to 10.
Okay, that's fantastic, right?
And that I think dunking my head in a bucket of water is more effective.
Oh, and so putting your head in the face in the water was more effective than paced breathing for you. That's why we give you so many different skills.
I like the paced breathing because it's not painful.
Okay, guys, this is a great thing to highlight, right? That we're teaching you all these different skills, and not every skill is going to be as effective as the other one for you. And that's why we give you a variety. So for Grace, using temperature and ice water is more effective for you, and Ashton, paced breathing is more effective for you. Jackson, can you think of one that might be more effective for you of those three? No? Okay. All right, and any questions come up from folks at home? Do we have any questions from home, Jim?
We do not as of yet.
Okay, so let's go to our final slide with,
Take-home points.
not the take-home points because we just went through those. Let's go to the next one.
All right.
Just a couple of announcements for all of you. Again, like I said, thank you all for joining us today, and just want to remind you to register for the live Q&A with Jim and I on June 16th from 10 to 11. Go to the DBT in Schools website for that. And then for our parents and teachers watching, we do a live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning on Instagram and Facebook Live for DBT in Schools called Parenting Through COVID-19. Okay, let's get ready to say goodbye. We can go back to the camera. Thank you all for being with us today. We appreciate you. Please go practice your tip skills. Be skillful. Say goodbye.
Bye. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe.
There you go, Grace. All right.
We
You
need
guys
more
have a great, skillful week. We'll see you.